London has always been a city of stories. Some are loud, filled with celebration and triumph, while others move quietly between the raindrops, known only to the hearts brave enough to feel them. Amelia Whitmore never imagined her life would become one of those quiet stories. She lived in a modest flat in South London, above a small flower shop that filled the air with the scent of roses each morning. Her days were simple. She worked as a book conservator at a historic library, carefully restoring fragile pages that carried memories of people long gone. She believed every damaged book deserved patience, care, and understanding. Perhaps that was why she believed broken hearts could also be repaired. Amelia's world revolved around responsibility. Her father had passed away years ago, leaving her to care for her mother, whose health had gradually weakened. Hospitals, medicine schedules, and quiet evenings became her routine. While her friends spoke about travels, careers, and romance, Amelia spoke about hope. She never complained. One cold autumn morning, London was wrapped in fog so thick it softened the edges of every building. Amelia carried a small bundle of old manuscripts through the courtyard of the library. Her hands were careful, her steps unhurried. As she reached the gate, a gust of wind scattered several pages onto the pavement. Before she could react, someone bent down beside her, collecting the papers with surprising gentleness. "Old paper deserves respect," the stranger said in a calm, deep voice. Amelia looked up. He was tall, composed, wearing a dark overcoat that suggested both elegance and distance. His accent was not entirely British, yet his English was flawless. "Thank you," she replied politely. "My pleasure," he said, handing her the papers. Some things should not be lost. His name was Victor Levin. Victor had arrived in London only days earlier. Born into a powerful Russian business family, he had spent most of his life building success, discipline, and control. His father believed emotions distracted from achievement, and Victor had followed that belief for years. He owned properties across Europe, led major investments, and commanded respect in every room he entered. Yet London felt different, for reasons he could not explain. The quiet sincerity in Amelia's voice lingered, in his thoughts long after their brief meeting ended. Days passed, and Victor found himself returning to the library. At first, he told himself, he was researching historical architecture for a development project. But soon he realized the truth. He came because Amelia made the world feel less rushed. She spoke about literature as if every story carried a heartbeat. She smiled rarely, but when she did, it felt genuine, never rehearsed. Victor was accustomed to people impressing him. Amelia did not try. One rainy evening, London streets glistened under golden lights. Amelia stood at the bus stop, holding a worn umbrella that barely protected her from the wind. A car stopped beside her, the window lowered. "Miss Whitmore," Victor said politely, "London weather can be quite unforgiving. Allow me to offer you a lift." She hesitated. Accepting kindness from strangers had never been her habit. Yet something about Victor's respectful tone reassured her. Their journey across the city was quiet, yet meaningful. They spoke about small things at first: the unpredictable British weather, the beauty of old buildings, the comfort of routine. Gradually, their conversations deepened. Amelia spoke about responsibility, about caring for someone you love even when life becomes difficult. Victor listened carefully. He rarely spoke about his own life, but he admitted he had never truly rested. His success had come with expectations too heavy to question. "You speak as if peace is something rare," Amelia observed gently. "For me, it is," Victor admitted. Over the following weeks, their meetings became natural. Sometimes Victor visited the library. Sometimes they walked near the Thames, watching reflections of city lights shimmer across the water. Amelia never asked about Victor's wealth. Victor never mentioned it. For the first time, he experienced a connection untouched by ambition. Yet life rarely allows peaceful moments to remain undisturbed. One afternoon, Victor received an urgent call from Moscow. His family expected him to return immediately. A major partnership depended on his presence, and his father insisted he consider an engagement with the daughter of a powerful associate. To Victor's father, marriage was strategy. Love was unnecessary. Victor found himself restless. He began distancing himself from Amelia. believing she deserved a life untouched by the complications of his world. His visits became less frequent. His messages became formal. Amelia noticed the change but respected his silence. She had learned long ago that affection cannot be forced. Meanwhile, her mother's condition worsened. Hospital corridors became familiar again. The quiet strength Amelia carried for years began to feel heavy. One evening, she sat alone beside the Thames, watching the slow movement of water under the pale winter sky. She wondered whether some stories were never meant to be finished. Victor, too, struggled with his decision. Boardrooms, contracts, and expectations surrounded him. Yet his thoughts returned to a small library filled with the scent of old pages. For the first time in years, success felt incomplete. During a formal dinner in Moscow, Victor realized he was listening to conversations but hearing nothing. He excused himself early, surprising everyone. That night, he made a choice not approved by his family. He returned to London. Snow had begun to fall softly, covering the city in quiet white. Victor went directly to the library, but Amelia was not there. He searched places they had visited together. Finally, he found her near the river. She looked surprised to see him. "I thought London had lost its quiet charm without you," Victor said gently. Amelia smiled faintly. "You had responsibilities," she replied. "And I still do," he admitted. "But for the first time, I asked myself what truly matters." Silence surrounded them as snow continued to fall. "I was taught that success is measured by power," Victor continued. "But you showed me something greater, peace." Amelia lowered her gaze. "Our worlds are very different." "Yes," Victor said softly, "but the heart recognizes truth, regardless of circumstance." For the first time, Amelia allowed herself to hope. Months passed. Amelia's mother slowly recovered strength, surprising doctors with her resilience. Spring returned to London, bringing colour back to the parks and warmth to the air. One morning, Amelia received an invitation to visit a newly restored reading centre dedicated to preserving historical literature. She entered the building and paused in disbelief. Every detail reflected the quiet beauty she had always admired. Victor stood near the window. "This place exists because you reminded me that stories deserve preservation," he said. Amelia realized Victor had not only changed his path, he had changed his priorities. Love had not made life perfect, but it had made life meaningful. They chose patience over fear, understanding over distance, and in the quiet heart of London, their story continued, not as a dramatic tale of grand gestures, but as a promise built through kindness, respect, and unwavering care. Because sometimes the strongest love is not the loudest. Sometimes it is simply the one that stays. Before we continue with the story, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment below telling us where you're watching from. Your support really helps the channel grow.